And I will say this to you, sir. Mr. President, I have attended a lot of courses in the business school and management schools.
I didn't know it was live.
And I know there's a difference between effort and result. Mr. President, nobody rewards efforts. What people reward is result. Today, Mr. President, I'm being called Senator Cyril Fashui. And this is my fourth time attempting to come to this red chamber. And that is the only time I am being called a senator. We thank God for everything that Professor Humphrey Nwosu did. But there's something lacking. The result was not there. Everything that anybody have said here is about the effort. Sir, we have seen a lot of national infrastructures being named after individuals. I know the one of the police, which is the Kumasi. I know the one of customs, which is for Duke. And I know institutions, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe. There is nobody who will argue against the naming of these national infrastructures to these national icons. Mr. President, Professor Humphrey Nwosu only made effort as long as he did not announce the result, whether you are under duress or you are under anything. It cannot be called. It cannot. That election cannot be said that he has conducted a successful election. In view of this, sir, I want to say vehemently that I, Senator Cyril Fashui, representing the good and decent people of Ekiti North, having searched my conscience, I am against the prayer that it should be immortalized by naming INEC headquarters after him. Thank you. I so submit.
Let me say this. Everybody will speak. Everybody will speak. But please, let's allocate just 1.5 minutes so that we can quickly do away with this. I want to be as fair as possible. Sir, you speak. But let me allow Senator Akobundo to speak. You speak later. Akobundo, you have the floor. From Abia State.
Thank you, Mr. President, my dear colleagues. My name is Austin Akobundo, representing Abia Central Senatorial District. Your Excellency, today we're discussing a man, in my opinion, and in the opinions of so many Nigerians, who did so much to bring the current democracy to fruition. I was in service, and I know a whole lot about the doggedness, the courage that Humphrey Nwosu declared up to the point he was stopped from continuing with the results. To stay here and not acknowledge that Humphrey was a fighter who stood his grounds against the military leadership to ensure that democracy was enthroned is most uncharitable. Some of the things I would have said have been taken by my colleagues, so I want to join those who believe that Humphrey Nwosu did a great job to enthrone democracy in ensuring that his name is immortalized. And recently, certain actions in the country have thrown up the role he played in positive light. Recently, the former president, Ibrahim Babangida, owned up to his mistakes. If Humphrey Nwosu did not conduct a credible election, how would Abiola's election be validated? So it was a validation. And it's very uncharitable for Senator Shomole to say that while he was alive, he didn't do anything. Let me bring it out that Humphrey Nwosu published a book where he detailed all that happened, including the results that validated Abiola Abiola's election. So I join my colleagues, those who agree, to state that Humphrey Nwosu remains a great man in our hearts and that he should be given his rightful place in the Hall of Honor in this country. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Senator Karim, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, my colleagues. My name is Karim Sunday Steve. I represent the people of Kogi State. There is this fact. In whatsoever we do, one day we are going to live here, we are going to leave the world, and we are going to be remembered by what we have done. If you do well, posterity will remember you for good. We are now judging or talking about Humphrey Nwosu. He has finished his course. Now it is left for his creator to judge him. Yes, he was here. He did his best. He conducted an election. He tried his best midway. Everything was truncated. And he was not courageous enough to speak out. There are others after him that also worked in INEC and did a lot of work there. One thing we cannot take away from Humphrey Nwosu is that he tried his best. But we need to be careful. It is the responsibility of the executive to name any structure after anybody. It is also the responsibility of the executive to give national awards to whomsoever they feel is deserving of it. And we know our president now, he was a factor and he was part of those that struggled for the actualization of June 12. He worked hard for it. He worked hard for it. President Obasanjo was there as president for 8 years. He did not name anything after Nwosu. Nothing was mentioned about him. Even Yaradua was there. President Goodluck Jonathan was there. After Goodluck Jonathan, Buhari was there for 8 years. And now that Humphrey Nwosu is gone, you want President Tinubu to name structures after Nwosu. It will not happen. It will not happen. Tinubu will not do that. So we don't need to force him to do anything like that. So let's just limit ourselves with what we can manage here. We rise up, say a 1 minute silence for him. That is over. That is over. Let's not go beyond what we can control. That is what I will say here. Thank you.
Senator Yahya Abdullahi, please, after to contribution, let's just go to the prayer because of time.
Yahya Abdullahi, Kebbi North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I think we are using too much emotions and not much of the facts of the case. I call myself a victim of June 12th, precisely because I contested for the Secretary Generalship of the SDP in 1993, and we lost the election to Sule Lamido, for the former governor of Jigawa State. After that, we had a lot of trouble selecting the vice presidential candidate. I was in the Kingibe faction, and we were able to defeat Atiku Abubakar to get Abiola to name Kingibe as vice president in order to have a seamless election. We went through that process and we knew we won the election. It was annulled. Everybody knew what happened or what happens under the military. To accuse this late gentleman of not allowing the election, not announcing the election, I think is very, very ahistorical and charitable. Mr. President, even under duress, he was not even to have conducted the election in the first place, but he went ahead and conducted it against the military who appointed him. After the election results started coming out, and it was aware that Abiola won the election, Nwosu asked his Director of Legal Services, Malam Buhari Bello, who is still alive, he's my junior brother, to go to court. Buhari went to court, and he won in the court in the Federal High Court. The appeal, he went to the Court of Appeal. Like my statesman from Anambra, Senator Ume, said, they were afraid that the Court of Appeal is going to give INEC a favorable response. The military came and annulled that election and disbanded INEC. And at that time, my junior brother Buhari Bello lost his job also, together with Nwosu. Now, how come, with this historical narrative, some of us are alive, we are participants in that process. There are some people here who are talking, who have never been part of the process. And then you are coming out painting certain historical narratives which are wrong. Please, let's honor ourselves and uphold what is right and do the right thing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, Senator Titus has the floor. After Senator Titus, then, of course, we have Senator Osita, and then Senator Sadio, SAS, Afolabi, and then Senator Solomon Lamilekon will round up so that we can just put the vote, please.
Mr. President,
you want to speak? Okay.
distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dr. Titus Statengizam. I represent Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. President, as you can see, this issue has generated a lot of interest, not just because of the personality involved. It is because INEC, being a very critical institution in the promotion, advancement of democracy, would naturally attract attention, either for good or bad. I want us to situate our debate in the context of national service and intellectual excellence, which Professor Humphrey Nwosu is supposed to exemplify. Nwosu was a professor of political science, someone who by training was supposed to deliver excellent election to Nigeria. Humphrey Nwosu was also appointed for national service. From these two backgrounds, he did not achieve any of them. They say to whom much is given, much is expected. A professor of political science heading INEC could not deliver result. That is how you can assess him. It doesn't matter whether the circumstances were positive or not. If it were not positive for him to do so, he would have resigned. He didn't resign, which means he stood out to do the job. So on that score, he did not succeed. Now, national service. When you are called to serve the country, what you are supposed to do is to go to every extent to defend and deliver your mandate. As far as we are concerned, this gentleman did not conduct himself properly enough to deserve any national recognition at this moment. He did not deliver.
Thank you. My colleagues, you see, we have a lot on our other paper. But I will not deny you the right to speak. People want to speak, you want to speak, but please try to summarize what you are going to say. I will allow you one minute, please. Just 1 minute, so that we can get over this and then move forward. Senator Onyewuchi.
No, you cannot.
Oh, sorry, sorry. I'm sorry. I had called him already.
Yes,
Sorry.
Mr. Senate President.
Sorry, I'm sorry for that.
I'm not sure when it's my turn that you are not saying people should speak for 1 minute. And even you also forgot that you have called me. Something must be wrong.
Show your name, it's an oversight.
Yeah, Mr. President, my name is Osita Izulaso. I represent Imo West. I just want to draw the attention of the Secretariat to the fact that I'm one of the sponsors of this motion, and they wrote Imo North for me. It should be Imo West, not Imo North.
Secretariat, please take note.
Now, Mr.
The sponsor, that stands corrected.
Mr. President, it is important that we do not sit here to distort history. We are legislators, and we are representing the people. Take a census of Nigerians and ask them what they think about Professor Humphrey Nwosu. They will tell you he was a hero. So for us to sit here now and begin to distort history is not fair for our democracy. It's not even good for the country. Mr. President, I want to draw your attention to what happened on June 10. We're talking about June 12. Justice Ibeme, as early as 9:30 on June 10th, said there will be no election. And Professor Humphrey Nwosu tried to reach the head of state. He couldn't reach him. He couldn't reach the Attorney General. And there was an emergency meeting of National Defense and Security Council, which Professor Humphrey Nwosu audaciously attended uninvited and told them that the materials had been sent out and that he was ready for the election. Uninvited in the military council, he went there. That is courage of the highest order. And it was after he spoke that President Ibrahim Babangida have no choice than to ask him to conduct the election. Mr. President, we have human beings who are alive. Today, Mr. Boss Mustafa, the immediate past SDF, and late Mohamed Waziri, we were the SDP returning agents at the collection center. Yesterday, when this matter broke up, I had to call Boss Mustafa. I had to call him. I said, Boss Mustafa, what happened at the collection center? And he narrated to me how courageous Humphrey Nwosu was. And said, without Humphrey Nwosu's courage, you can't even talk about election. In fact, Buhari Bello, who was INEC legal director, was the one that was running in between Humphrey Nwosu and the NDSC. And Buhari Bello is still alive. He will testify to you how courageous Humphrey Nwosu was in that exercise. Mr. President, Senator...
Thank you. You have 1 second remaining. I give you more time.
Yes, please.
You protest because you protested.
Yes, please.
So but your time is off. 1 second.
No, Adam Oshimole wanted to distort history. I won't let him do that. Humphrey Nwosu, in his book titled Laying the Foundation for Nigerian Democracy, laying the foundation for Nigerian democracy. My account of June 12th.
Thank you. Your time is off.
Entire result.
Also, Shoaib Afolabi. I'm just trying to be fair.
I have the floor.
When someone here speaks, another person having divergent views should speak. That's a balanced thing.
I have the floor, please. I have the floor, please.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a few months ago, this hallowed chamber celebrated the late Dr. Ogbonaya Onu. It was unanimous. On that occasion, I stood up and I spoke not just as a senator, I spoke as a secretary of Southwest Senators Caucus. And in fact, we regarded Ogbonaya Onu as somebody from Southwest. There was no controversy. There will be other eminent Nigerians that were brought here. We celebrated them in less than 5 minutes. There was no controversy. Today I speak as the senator representing the memory of Humphrey Abiola, and that we are even discussing this brings back the pain of the loss of an illustrious Nigerian from Ogun Central Senatorial District. To attempt to immortalize or honor anyone who was involved with the annulment of June 12 that led to the death of MK Abiola is to undermine the insufficient recognition that will be given to him. It is indeed to also set a very bad precedent and to also make it very clear. If Humphrey Nwosu were to come from Ogun Central, if indeed it was to come from Abeokuta, anyone who participated in the June 12 debacle, regardless of the part of the country, including Abeokuta, I will stand up to speak against such a person. And you also know that even people from Southwest who were accomplices in the June 12 saga, they have not been forgiven tomorrow. If any of them was brought here, I will speak against him. Therefore, this debate is unnecessary. This debate is trying to rewrite history, and we are sending to the people, to the younger people, that you can be celebrated if your courage failed you. You can be celebrated if you do common things uncommonly bad. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the very best you can do, maybe just 1 minute honor, but to attempt to do anything further would be to rubbish the memory of MK Abiola and to add insult to the injury.
Thank you. Senator Orwell Onyosi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for finally giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm very grateful. See, we are seated here today, we are talking about a great historical event. One thing we must not allow to come in is sentiment. I'm not from the Southeast, I'm not from the Southwest, I'm a Nigerian. Humphrey Nwosu was a Nigerian. And at the time he worked, Nigeria was a very complex society, managed by very reckless, very ambitious, very dangerous military leaders. We knew all of them. They shot so many of their mates for no reason. And I'm sure shooting a civilian would be an ordinary event. We knew what happened at that point in time. I am not after getting anything named after, against his name or giving him a national honor. That is left for the government of the day. But that history must not be distorted. We have kids here. Okay, they are gone. And they are listening, and they take this away. This is one of the highest, the most respected institutions in Nigeria. And so when we want to put facts, we put facts down for others to use. Humphrey Nwosu, to the best of my knowledge and from the functions it performed, is a hero. Now, he established what we are mimicking today. The very INEC we are trying to fine-tune. He laid the foundation.
No, he did NEC. NEC, not INEC. NEC.
They are the same thing. It's a change of name. Change of name. Please, I didn't talk, Professor of War, I listen to you. You listen to me. Now, listen to me and you will listen to me. You will listen to me. Now, order. See the time. I will take my time.
Order, please. It was a mistake, and we get that corrected for him. It was NEC, not INEC. It's just a mere correction. Yes. So, and it's human. Always, continue.
Yes.
But you have 1 second. You have.
So, sorry, I'll appeal for 2 more seconds because of the disturbance.
No, you have 1 second.
Yeah. There were elections conducted at that period, not just presidential election. They were successful. Don't forget, he conducted local government elections. They were successful. State elections, House of Assembly, reps, and Senate, they were all successful. Governorship. When it was time for presidential election, we knew the interplay of forces.
And you have 1 second remaining, 1 second.
Well, I want to say that we should be honest and we should be fair to people. Humphrey Nwosu is a hero. Nobody could have done better than he did at the point he performed. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Now, you need, please, you need to be patient because time is running fast. This is one. We'll just have to allow maybe 2-3 people to speak because the time is far against us. No, you speak. You're going to speak. Senator Fadahonsi. We'll come here.
What? Nobody should cry.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Adefadahonsi, Osun East. Generally, most of all the people that are talking about Nwosu, most of them did not know much, as at that time they were very young. Some were still in the university. Now they are here. The elder says, don't judge the dead. Leave him for his creator. Who also was a bloody civilian during Babangida's time. Colonel, who were in uniform there. My problem is that when it comes to civilian, we want to applaud our people. We have a lot of problems. Right here, one of the generals, and so many, we have celebrated them, that truncated this democracy. Nwosu has done his best. He has gone. The naming of this and that in his name depends on the executive. You can recommend. If the president wants, he will give him. If the president wants the national honor, you can give him the best. Because at that time,
Thank you, Fadahonsi.
but we don't want all these things to come.
Thank you. Now, please, we have to, because the deputy leader has come here to advise me that time is against us. So I allow Senator Uwoye to speak, and then Senator Olamileko will round up. I'm sorry, we can't take it anymore. Please, I'm sorry.
Thank you, my president. Our dear distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Tony Uwoye, representing Anambra North. Mr. President, the issue at stake is an appeal I'm making that we should not allow our personal biases, our personal sentiments, and our party affiliations to influence what we are doing here. So far I'm concerned, during the June 12 presidential election, I was a presiding officer. And yes, I just came out from secondary school. I was the presiding officer in that election. That election has been adjudged up to today the freest and fairest election in the history of Nigeria. Mr. President, any Nigerian that googles internet, which election is the freest and fairest election in Nigeria, is the June 12th presidential election. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, a professor of political science from the prestigious University of Nigeria, a civil servant, before he was appointed in 1989, did his best, despite the pressure from Babangida government, despite the court order, Mr. President, allow me, despite the court order by Justice Ibeme that stopped the election, despite all the threats from the military cabal, the man still went ahead to conduct the freest and fairest election. Was it Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made Justice Saleh from Katangum Emirate from Bauchi to annul the election? Was it Justice Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made the military cabal to throw Nigeria into confusion? It is highly unfair. One of my colleagues mentioned about the honor. Is it because he belongs to a particular political party? Let us not distort facts. It's very disappointing that some of us should be distorting facts just because Professor Humphrey Nwosu is an Igbo man.
Thank you very much.
Allow this motion to stand.
Thank you, sir.
I rest my case.
Thank you. Please, order, please.
Hello, sir.
Now, 99.9% of those who want to speak have spoken. I will allow Senator Samson, Senator Ezenwa, then last.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Senator Solomon Olamilekon.
Thank you very much.
Have a minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. President of the Senate, for allowing me this intervention, as it were. I think we are getting the context of this motion disjointed somewhat. I think the central issue here is not whether we name the content of INEC in memory of Nwosu. The critical issue here is the honor that Nigeria owes this great man. I'm one of those who is, I'm very passionate about June 12th, very passionate, because I believe that has been one fabric that has challenged our sensibilities as a country. So the central issue here is not naming of the 85. The central issue here is the honor, because if Nwosu is not celebrated, who must we celebrate? Is it Otonzeribe or the judge who gave that judgment? I am of the opinion that outside whatever might be named after him, which of course is outside our past, as it were, we can at best recommend. But the central issue is that this man showed courage when that was necessary. He had all the opportunity.
You have 1 second. Your time is off. So there's a right. Have the floor. There's Senator Solomon.
So I think we can.
Your time is off. Your time is off.
Naming that edifice after.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Sezanwa Onyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District of Imo State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am indeed very worried that the achievements of Professor Humphrey Nwosu is being subjected to such fierce debate. There's no doubt, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that Professor Humphrey Nwosu is an architect of the freedom we enjoy today as a nation. Humphrey Nwosu
He has the floor. Allow him to say his mind.
No doubt is
You are
the
protected.
hero of the June 12th election. And there's no doubt that he introduced something that was very novel to us, the option A4, and conducted an election, adjourned the freest election that we
You have 1 second remaining. 1 second.
had. Mr. President, I want to warn or advise that this Senate should not resort to scapegoatism, to say, this is the person that caused this is the person that did not do this. Let us look at things objectively.
Thank you, Senator Solomon. You have the floor.
He played
Everyone, your time is off.
and I want to say, he was not just...
How many minutes, sir?
So,
University
you have the floor.
at the University of Nigeria. Let me round up, Mr. President.
Your time is off.
Because I don't want us to pin Professor Nwosu to just the INEC job he did. He was an erudite professor.
Thank you. Your time is off, Senator Ezenwa. Solomon Elamulekon, you have the floor. Pro June 12.
Thank you very much, Mr. Representing Ogun West Senatorial District. Mr. President, this is one issue that...
Look. Let me say this for him. You say, where were you? His junior brother died. His junior brother was killed during the June 12 saga.
Sir, let me make my submission that I can tell you where I was when it happened.
He's protected. Allow him to speak. He's protected.
It's from NRC. That's why he's speaking like that. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, this is one issue I have tried as much as possible to avoid. Yesterday, when my brother, Senator Abaribe, brought this matter up, I took up and said, no, I will not allow this to happen. Because he's about to remind me a very sad memory. And I'm speaking not along party line or ethnic or whatsoever, as I've watched and listened to the contribution thus far. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague,
As a result of the action and inaction of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, I lost my immediate junior brother. He died right behind me for him refusing to do or carry out his duty as INEC chairman. Mr. President, many of my colleagues have stood up here and said he conducted the free and fairest election. There are three different meanings and three different interpretations that we should look at: conducting election, releasing results, and announcing results. Yes, he conducted the election. Yes, school of thought said he releases all the results. But you and I know releasing results is not the same thing as announcing results. He failed at the critical moment when he's supposed to salvage this democracy. Today we celebrate Abiola, or those people who have contributed to the success story of June 12, because they laid their life, they put their life on the line. If he is coward to withdraw in doing what is right at the critical moment, I think my brothers here should be fair enough. We are not saying you should not bring this matter up. And as my colleague have said, everybody that we have put before us that should be honored, we have celebrated them here. And don't forget, this is the highest lawmaking body of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where we should see ourselves as one and one Nigeria. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, with due respect to him, because it's now late, does not deserve to be immortalized as one of the very few Nigerians that have done the right thing. And I want to plead with my colleague. As I've said, I'm not speaking along the ethnicity line, along the party line, but I'm speaking as Nigeria. We witness the horrific moment.
Thank you. One second remaining.
Of Professor Humphrey Nwosu to carry out his assignment at the most critical hour.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now let's go to prayers. Prayer one. All the federal government to immortalize him by naming the INEC headquarters in Abuja after him. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Further urges the federal government to posthumously honor him with national honors. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Extend condolences to his family and recognize their sacrifice in support of his work towards a better Nigeria. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. So, hello, sorry. Order! Order! Please, can somebody order? Can somebody move a motion so that we can have a big silence in his honor and pray for you for his soul to reign in perfect peace? Senator Siri Oluwole Fasui.
Seconded.
A seconder.
Seconded.
Senator Samson Ekong.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ekong Samson. I represent Akwa Ibom South. I move to support the motion as ably moved that in view of his place in history, that this August Senate do observe a brief silence in memory of Professor Humphrey Nwosu. I so move most respectfully. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion, moved by Senator Cyril Oluwole Fasui from Ekiti State, and seconded by Senator Samson Ekong from Akwa Ibom State. Please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 1 minute silence, please.
All right, what you've just seen is the disagreement, of course, on the issue of immortalizing Professor Humphrey Nwosu, late Professor Humphrey Nwosu, which has continued to cause a stir in plenary. People have given their diverse opinion, citing incidents of the June 12, June 11, respectively, talking about things that he did during the elections, and some says that some of his acts were more cowardly than heroic. And a lot of people also cited examples of the fact that there are younger generations coming after, and because they have a portrayal of him being a hero, it won't be fair not to see him as such. So, of course, there is still that debate going on, and we're waiting to see what the final jurisdiction would be. But in the meantime, that's what you have seen there, the bill that is being passed to immortalize him as a symbol of his transparency. But in the meantime, before I cross over now to Favour Tour to take us through the sports bulletin, I would also like to mention that a developing story that we have been following from the House of Representatives, where the House has withdrawn the second reading of a bill seeking to strip the immunity conferred on the president, vice president, governors, and their deputies. Now, the bill aimed to curb corruption and enhance accountability. Also rescinded was a bill seeking to review penalties for certain capital offences in alignment with relevant international best practices. The Deputy Speaker, who presided over the plenary, stated that the decision was made to allow lawmakers and other stakeholders to provide further input.